What's going on, everyone? Community Manager Okaydrian here to let you know that not only did we drop our newest content patch, Settlers Dawn, you can also get Coreborn for 40% off right now until February 8th. Now, onto the video though. This week, I brought aboard our head of 3D and animation, David.
I am the head of 3D and animations.
And he shares his involvement with this patch, Settlers Dawn.
And the last one is just a little showcase of some 3D work.
As well as his visions for the future. Maybe a few surprises along the way.
If I say red, what do you see when it's red?
Watch the video and find out. And this is someone who ranks high on my tier list. And I think that you will enjoy their presence. So I'm, without any further ado, going to bring them on board. Everyone, please give a large, amazing welcome for our good friend, David, who is back.
Hey, everybody. It's good to be back. Talk a little bit about the update.
Yeah, welcome back, man. How you been?
It's been going well. Today was busy. You think you have everything sorted and you try to get the last bugs out, but it's working well.
That's actually a good way to put how the day went down. You know, you think you have all the bugs put out, and then maybe it's about an hour before deadline, and all of a sudden you go, uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, well, we're here. It's out. Everything's updated, hopefully. At least some games are still being updated as we speak.
Yes, true. And just in case they didn't catch you last time, would you mind reintroducing yourself to the good people here in stream and in VOD?
No worries at all. I am the head of 3D and animation, so I am mainly responsible for all the 3D assets and I guess clearly animation, but it also is concept, talking about, like the little, like which colors should we try to do, and it's all, of course, a team effort, so I'm not doing all that alone, but I'm trying to guide all those individuals and the teams to the pretty picture that you hopefully agree with that you're seeing.
That's a very succinct way to put it. The pretty picture you're seeing.
Hopefully, right? Like, we're trying our best.
It'd be a good business card. You know, your name on the front and then the back, the pretty picture you're seeing.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, but that's also like like with the update now, it's like you asked me, like, what do you want to talk about and everything, and it's for me the last couple of days is really like the pretty picture, which is like the last bit of the packaging to post it. So that's sort of my headspace now.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll see what we'll talk about.
That works for me. And also, I see your comment in there, Grease. Town gates are all gone. Yes, that is not a bug. That is a feature. And that is also listed in the patch notes that the Ghibli maintenance system went ahead and took care of that for you, because you're going to want to build new town gates simply because the town gates behave differently now in terms of not only how many you can place, but also what that does. And David, perhaps you can chime in on this too. One of the things we had in the patch notes too was how the town gates operate now from a spawning perspective and also from an appearance perspective. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the main thing there, I think, is and that's the whole patch. We are trying to find, like fixes for also to protect players, like how people sort of like block one route, and that's sort of the, like you can build as much defense as you want, or elements that the people can break, and you try to defend or help players from themselves, stop them from sort of cheating.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Which, like, it isn't, but like bring fun for them, and it's like designing that fun. And sometimes I very much like the gates, and I in the beginning was reluctant to, like sort of let go. But yeah,
We're here. We made it. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Great name, by the way. Baron Butter Brezel. Just here to say I need a console version again. Hey, you know what? You never know what the future is going to hold. So I think that's always a direction we've considered. And it doesn't mean we're not considering it, but I would just say keep coming back. Keep staying tuned. You never know what you might see. And there was a time when I was like, man, are we going to ever see bandits? Are we going to see nighttime? And they both arrived, so we'll see. So, David, I want to take a personal approach to this because And it's cool you work with Blankhans, and it's cool that you worked on this entire project happening for Settlers Dawn. What about you as a person? From this entire
Okay.
patch, there's so much stuff that we included in here. Like I know because I copy and pasted a lot of this, but there's so much stuff here. What do you think is your favorite addition for Settlers Dawn, and why?
For me, it's just
Yes.
funny. Like the and we'll talk a little about that I think later. Like we have updates and we have sort of a big plan of where we want to be, what should the game be, and uh, like we have that vision and that's being designed and reevaluated. Are we still on track? The up are the changes doing what they should be doing? But I think uh, like it's you try to take these bits by bit, and the package itself is mainly focused on towns. Like that's why Settlers Dawn. It's a new day for the settlers, for people that take back the world and reclaim it from Sorgoth. And the but I like the combat. That's my, you know,
All of that to reach that.
yeah. No, we've done like the whole like like to push it out, and like there's a lot of quality of life stuff. But for me, the biggest one is the combat. It's just very simple. Like it's a base that we now can push forward from. Um, yeah, and that's yeah, I think the most impactful for myself because I feel in control. I now want to fight more. I want to go explore more to fight more. At least I'm not avoiding fights because I'm like, oh, okay. I'm
Yep.
just like enjoying it, and that's I think very good. And we'll talk about liquid metals later, but it allows us to take steps in the right direction for more weapons and so on.
It's a very honest approach, I think, too, when you think about the comment of beforehand, I used to see fights and just kind of like, it's not that I can't win, it's just, do I really want to take the time to do this right now? But I feel like the new combat system, it refocuses the idea of, I actually will stop to do this combat right now because it feels good to do so. And I think it's transparent to understand that not everyone's going to read all the patch notes. It's paragraphs of text. I get it. It's there for transparency as well. But for any of you who are doing the new combat, it's more than just a casual makeover. I mean, it's a completely new system. It's not only the way that you chain
Yeah.
attacks between light and heavy, but also paying attention to the visual and sound effects that happen during it. The light attacks look and feel like light attacks, and the heavy attacks don't happen quickly. They have a startup, there's a crunchy whoosh, and there's an effect that happens on the screen that shows you this was a heavy queued up attack.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, that's a little bit behind the scenes in a way. It's the system that has we've been working on the longest. That's now making it to the game. Because we've worked on it since last year. Like it was completely built from the ground up, and it's really from the player's perspective. So there's other things that we'd like to improve. Like the creature wise or the bandits maybe, although we have adjusted the bandits already. Um, but to for the combat to flow better, because now we have one perspective, which is the player, but
Yes.
obviously there's the opponents, and yeah, that's something that will come. And yeah, like I said, it's now really player side. How do I feel while playing? Um, yeah, and I think that's gonna be nice. And yeah, like it's an effort by engineering, animation, sound, VFX that all really quite worked very long and hard on this, to rebuild it and to make something better.
I think my favorite part about reading the patch notes for combat is that it says first pass. It's not combat 2.0 completed. We're done. Enjoy the new combat. This is just, it's a glancing blow. It's a look of things to come,
Mm.
right?
Well, I think and that's also we're an early access game. That's great, but we should treat people or players with respect, as in take them seriously, like people play and it's their time and so on. So we could keep this from players for the next 6 months and then releasing it with everything done. There's something to say for that, like depending on how you want to have your impact, like what is your moment, and we're taking that now. But mainly we like to have feedback. We like to people think, oh, it's definitely the right direction, but maybe this sucks. Like, talk to us, at least on Discord,
Yes.
is a great way to do it, because for us, not only we think and we believe that we can make the best thing possible, but we're making it for an audience, and it's good if that audience lets us know these are things that we like or don't like. And that's also what you've already mentioned. Within the town, a lot of these uh, elements are feedback from the community, like this is what we like, and some of it we might have already had plans for, but at least now it comes together, or it allows us to pull it more forward, to give it to players quicker.
You nailed it. I get it. I feel the same way. And you pointed that out. It's the idea of feedback. The feedback section is so important. We look at it, may not always respond to everything on there, but we see it. We collect the info and the data, and we parse what's possible. And while I can't reveal what it is, there will be an extension of that very soon in terms of looking to you, the community, to ask you what else is there? What else is coming soon? What else would you like to see? And that's something we're putting together very soon as well. But weekly cat content, he just hops up on the table and just likes to hang out and say, hey, what are we doing? Sometimes when I stream, he hears my voice speaking and he's like, who are you talking to? You talking to me? And then he realizes it's not about him, and that's why he leaves. So, but David, you put together a nice little artistic board for me to showcase to the stream, to showcase some cool stuff, yeah?
Yeah, there's a little bit for this update, which I just thought was fun, and that's sort of what I mentioned. Like, this is my state of mind. Like, this has been what I've been working on also today, like in the last little bits.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. You
Fine.
mind?
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. There you go. Yeah, because last time I sort of we talked a whole lot about the whole process, and I'd like to not do that again, because I know it's, like, how many lectures can you give? Uh, but yeah, like it's. I thought it was funny because
Welcome to
earlier
Settlers
this week.
Dawn with David. How are you?
But we like we showcase our own work to each other, so everybody knows what people are working on, up to date. And I on the left there, if you can zoom in a little, or are you able to zoom in? Yeah, perfect. This one is uh, sort of where this is my brain, the first little bit of my brain, like, working. Like, we came up with a name, we tried to, all about towns, and so what does that mean, and how would we like people to feel or experience this? Because um that's what I noticed. Like, I talked to game designers and engineers, and they're lovely people, and one of them is very into systems, like, oh, this works, and then like 10 of that, and give me this, and that's great. And an engineer is like, oh, this, like, this works really well, like, if I put this thing into that thing, then somewhere else, a little counter goes up, like, great. And I hear myself in these conversations say, but what do you feel? Like, what, how
Good
should we,
question.
what is the title of this? How are we gonna uh bring this to people? And yeah, so a little bit of the ant trail, which I think you said you showed last week already, that is now in sort of in the update, and like, to a little bit more ease for the players, like, how is my wall, mainly for myself, how is it rotated,
Yes.
because I always lost
Oh my
track.
gosh.
Yeah.
I've been using that so
uh
much myself, not only on our tests, but also in my live service. Like, I just love seeing the marching ants, the dashing lines of saying this is exactly where it's going to end up.
yeah, and I think it's one of many things, in a way, that really help the update, like, just quality of life stuff, like stuff that we already wanted to have, but we didn't have time for, or there was no um like, plans to do that now, and they brought it forward. But at least this is my first little sketch, and you see the beautifully artistically drawn giblings, because I was like, okay, we have all these guys running to the town, gibling maintenance service. Yeah, he's new. What are they doing? um and then, like, from this, where I did, like, the first little Settlers Dawn logo, one of the concept artists got, like, the task, like, could you please do something fun with this? And we, in the end, like, some of them are houses, and we sort of found, because we have, I'm not sure, about new crafting benches, or bench actually.
Yeah,
That there's like a blueprint on that table. Um, with that blueprint, okay, maybe we take that part because it feels like it's better than the entrail, even though I liked the entrail initially that I did, but it just didn't work. So you have to sort of kill your darlings and say goodbye to the things that you like so you can make
sure.
it better. And in the end, we settled on the one in the mid left, which you will see.
Hold on, I just now
Uh,
noticed this one actually has the gibbling ears on both ends. That's so cool.
but this is the stuff that's really creative because I like it as well to give, especially concept artists, like the ability to just go away and come back with cool stuff, because they get creative and then you can make fun choices with them. Put all that together, came into a first pass, and then like you try a little bit with the logo and get everything a bit done. I always like to write whip on there real quick before somebody,
Of course,
like might believe that we should show it to somebody. I'm like, no, 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 it's really
it's a
this is not
stream
the good one.
favorite too. It's always
Yeah,
whip.
and yeah, and then the last one, the next one is sort of the update artwork, at least the main one. Um, and I think it's like it's yeah should sort of evoke like let's come like do the town thing and let's build together, let's play together, especially with new roles, all that. And it's one of three that we've done. And it's just to sort of, how can we showcase what we're doing?
I like it. I kind of wish there was a 1% chance we could make this image just randomly appear somewhere and then it just goes away.
We just do something fun with a poster one day. With like I'll do some stick figure gibblings or something.
Yes. Yes. Hello, Madasco. Welcome to the stream, by the way. So what else is got? What else we got going on here?
Um, this one is just sort of like one of the improvements that, like some stuff that we already had, where you could place town expansions, the little towers. They're now you can build them outside of your original um, sphere or the area. They're shaped different now as well, so they allow for different shaped towns and not only just circle, circle, circle. Um, and it was also just sort of me talking to other people, in this case an engineer, who's like, that's what I want on the, like, and I literally do like little lines, and that's sort of the idea. um, and in the end, like you see all the green lines and the blue lines as well, that's still debug stuff. um, and then like we get to a better version that's a little bit more smooth, where the yellow ones, like, you can build, it will connect to that one, and the blue one is you're close to something. uh, and there's a couple of these things that are just, they're not they're not groundbreaking, or they're not gonna change your life, but every time that you use them, hopefully you'll think, oh, that's that's nice. A little guide, a little help. Like truly quality of life stuff.
I think things like these, when they're put into the game, and I say this with respect to it, it's when you do it and you see it happen, you go, "Oh, this totally makes sense. This should have definitely been in here before. I don't know. I didn't realize how much I
Yeah.
needed this until it was here." And it's not like it should have been in there as an attack, but as a this totally just makes sense to have it here and to see it like this.
Yeah, and some of that is you have to make mistakes, like you have to not do it to then realize, oh, we should have done this all along. And some of it we might, like I said, might be from the community, like, oh, isn't this, like, or somebody says like, oh, this game came out, and isn't that clever how they do things, and should we do something similar? Um, and like it's really about, yeah, finding the best solution for players, like what makes their life more enjoyable and fun.
Agreed. And what we got going over here?
And the last one is just a little showcase of some 3D work, like a before and after, sort of how we still see it. And then this is one of I cut a little corner from one of the pieces of art that we did for the, keep want to say season, but it's just an update. Not that it's less of, but
Hmm.
the Ghibli maintenance system, sort of how it shows up in your game, and yeah, have that guy be all happy in your town.
Real happy to do a lot of work for us.
Exactly.
Big thanks for that. So this is a part of your thought process along the way.
Yeah, some of the things are, I think it's fun to, like especially with the Gibling or the one on the left there, with the town expansion. It's more the, like a bit of a madman sort of trying to explain, like this is what I have in my head, this is what I see,
Yes.
to showcase it to other people. And it's in the end, it's a process of trying to, get the vision or the idea, uh, and explain that to somebody else. And in the end, that it's always a little bit easier when you draw or when somebody sees it. Um, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we have another area down here, which I'll get to in a moment. But I do want to showcase some of the live changes that are taking place in the game. So we have that. So we'll come back to this. So we have you here so graciously with your time. So back into the game. I love that graphic, by the way. Cool. Here we are. Now, this is actually the live service. This is me. This is not anything test. This is my actual build of Coreborn. So hello, everyone. I'm going to run back to my town. And then, David, if you want to, you can evaluate my baby town that I have set up. And we can talk about some of the
Okay.
things that we see from a player perspective. So I literally cannot cheat because this is the same version that you all play right now. I missed my cheat button already.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's good though. Also for like when we test, like I find myself also moving from one place to the other sometimes, and like you do go a little bit quicker and everything, and or you fly around, and it's always very dangerous because it's something you get used to, and then all of a sudden you turn it off, and you're surprised that it's a little bit slower, and it's
Yep.
so it's always dangerous.
Oh no, Karai, I was just using different words to describe things. I don't cheat, totally wouldn't cheat, so you have me mistaken for someone else. Great question though. Muse is at 59. Let's put that at 77 just in case. Perfect. So this is the player experience. This is me. I'm back on my server. Whoa, look at all the changes that are happening. And just like all of you, when you're logging into the game, your first question may be, weird. Where's my town gate? Because I put it down right here. So I'm playing from the perspective of all of you playing. But David, as we know, this is as intended. So no town center. That's okay. We can fix that. Simply just get a town center right here and rebuild it. Also, right here, since you asked about it, pinning is taking place right here, Dreech. And that is a feature that is listed in the patch notes as well. You can now pin recipes, which I think is one of the biggest quality of life improvements. Pins right there, and it's actually below my camera. So I'm going to turn my camera off really quickly so you can see right there. That's what it looks like.
I think that's one of those little features that feels super insignificant, but really is so convenient to have. And like it's again not groundbreaking, uh, but it's useful, and all the little bits stack together, and hopefully the whole experience will be a little bit more smooth.
No, I totally agree. Like, it's just so big. I'm rearranging my windows right now so this makes sense in case you're wondering what I'm doing. That way people can better see the addition. I'm not in the way of it. I'll put me right here. A little closer to you, actually, if you don't mind.
It's always okay. I'll
There.
make a little bit of
Thanks, man.
space for you.
Thanks, dude. Right there. You can pin the recipe, and it's right there for yellow storage chests, which I'm not going to make right now, but right here for town gate. So you can change that anytime you want to. But no, Karai, I don't cheat. Great question, though. Overlapping because we got trees in the way, so we'll take care of that. And again, I'm doing this to give you all an idea of what it is you'll be going through as well. And David, one of the cool things down below too, I'm sure you know about already, obviously, is how the number next to the town gate will give you an idea of how many of that material you can create once you've gathered the requisite materials for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole thing with this feature, right? Like it's so simple, but it will help you a lot. And I think there's a bunch of them. Like I also think an important one is the scaling. It just allows you to do a slight bit more, and it will help.
Yes. So as you all said, and I think one of you pointed this out earlier, Karai Saraf, you said can't build a new town gate, right? So I just want to show you all live why that's happening. So I'm trying to put it down and I can't. You pointed out that you're going to interact with the town center first, because it tells you that town gate is missing. I'm the new mayor of my town, so congratulations to me. I go over here. Now I can build the town gate. And there it is. Nice and simple. Ooh, that's a good question. Why can't we build first a foundation and build town center and town expansion on it? I think because you can only build foundations in a town, but you need a town center to establish a town. So you can't actually build a foundation in an area that you have not claimed because it's not yours yet.
That is pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And then like there's also a couple of other things. Like it allows you to really like claim what's the thing for yourself, and from there on, rules are established, and we can start building.
But that is something that I've thought about as well, is once a town center is established, sometimes I've wondered it'd be nice to have it inside of a little hut, inside of a little foundation. But also, like David was alluding to, it kind of changes the rule set of what's allowed, right? So if I decide to put my town center on top of a foundation, then I can turn that foundation into a house. And now when Sorgoth's minions attack my town, they're not attacking the town center, they're attacking the house that the town center is inside of, that I've created for the town center. And I'm not saying that's everyone's intentions, but I think it's a scenario that could be created. It could be a hassle, maybe.
And it's one of those things that I think is where like the idea seems simple, but the implications for however many possible outcomes, uh, like that's something I think to keep in mind. Where yeah, like of course you would be able to do it, but or should be able to do it, but there's a lot of little things that might be blocked or be broken because of it.
And on that note, for that, Baron, I do agree. It would make sense to inform the players about that in terms of when the game's back live, your town gate is missing. Recreate your town gate. Before you do, make sure you click the town center first and then recreate the town gate. I think that's something we'll have to look into in terms of finding a way to communicate that to everyone. Because if you're not watching this stream or on the Discord to look at the different channels and you just play the game by yourself, if you're recreating the town, by the way, it could be a little confusing to figure out why can't I create my town gate or what happened to my town gate. Now, part of that is in the patch notes where it tells you to recreate the town gate, but I don't know if we actually communicated that you have to interact with your town center first.
I don't know. But it's exactly one of the things that for us it seemed to be obvious to go to your town center again. Uh, but yeah, clearly feedback is otherwise. And this is exactly what we need, because it means that next time if we make a decision that we believe is a certain direction, that it's a pop-up, a notification,
Yep.
you know,
So
something
thank
like
you,
that.
Baron, for that. I will put that in the notes that I have as well. And we'll make sure to have that little notation there for players. They know right away, hey, make sure you click the town center first before you create your town gate. Otherwise, you can't. So, like David said, that's why feedback's important. That's why we do these streams and these channels, to get more information from you. So, thank you for that. So, after that, you're going to notice it tells you the Gibling service is missing. So, that message is consistent. That's the kind of thing we should have like that. And you're going to need this right here. David, tell me about the creation process for this Gibling maintenance, if you don't mind.
Well, the idea really is about grounding problems that grounding our problems or our sort of a game mechanics. Uh, it's fun if something breaks down, or if you want to do maintenance on your town, and we can make that all sort of super. I would love that little features. You can go down all the way.
You like that?
Uh, the Yeah, I just love it. It's a nice 70s house where you have like a little staircase into the living room.
Little sunken living room. Yeah. Thanks, dude.
uh, but what are we talking about with the town gate? Or the
Oh,
town
the Gibling
or the
maintenance
Ghibli?
service.
Um, to ground specific features in real world elements, and like we could have players just go back to their town center and give more weight to the town center. Is that what we want? Why not? Should we split up things, or should we make things more fun and have a little bit more character in there? It is a beginning of some hopefully updates that we can do quite soon as well, with some more gibbling stuff, because they're the secret power behind the world, or at least the secret like support of a lot of these things that are going on. um, and that's really where the idea came from. And how do like how do we showcase this? And yeah, like what should it be in your town? Should it be just a little bar with your little face on it? So you work a lot more with notifications. um, and we didn't think that was the most fun. So we'd like to now slowly but surely communicate through at least the Gibling maintenance service here to, like that's where you do your little town stuff,
You
because
know,
he helps you or they help you.
it's like just distracting enough and not too distracting to stand out, where you just kind of see it has its own little personal light too. And I love the little sound effect of the whoosh whoosh of the
Yeah.
appearance.
Well, it just makes everything more lively, because in the end you can make this all super boring and behind little buttons and so on. And in the end, that's what it is anyway. But yeah, like it's bringing sort of what I said earlier, bringing that experience into the game, where it's a little bit more character and emphasize sort of feel and experience.
This right here is the big caveat of the Gibling maintenance service.
Yeah,
So I just realized something actually. Let me post a note.
and that is.
That.
Oh, there you go. A little patch note for next time.
Yeah. But as you can see right here, you can add the materials that you need. We went over this last week in the pre-patch. That hasn't changed. So I have my lightwood here. I'm not going to add all of it. I'll add a day's worth about that. And up top, you can see the timer changes based on how much you want to add and what requisite materials you have to add time to your system. And as you can see, that changes based on what you have available to you and what level your town is. All that changes, and really is a little neat addition right here.
Yeah. Well, and the idea is that it should push out sort of when your town starts to deteriorate, so you can sort of set yourself up for next amount of time.
I love this pop up, by the way,
And
so much. Like, you have no idea. This is like play of the day for me.
we've talked a lot about how to show this,
Yep.
and like what is the best way to yeah, like, yeah, how do you, because we had a whole lot of numbers and it was a big bar in the beginning, and it had two timers, and I didn't know which timer was which and why and how. And
Yep.
the system is fairly simple, but visualizing that to players was not so much difficult, but we didn't find the right thing for us. Um, and then somebody just said, because we trying to be like, how do we showcase what the max is and the minimum? And
Yep.
well, the minimum is 0 and the max is a tooltip.
I love tooltips so much. One of my favorite features in game. It's just that little reminder of what is this? What does it do? For how long? What's included? What can I do? What can I like? I think we were talking about this behind the scenes too, in terms of having little small notifiers that give you reminders of how to do the shortcut clicks. I mean, I can press F1, I can go to the menu, but little small reminders that tell you to hold down Control, hold down Alt, hold down Shift, and just see what's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah, and this is also one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
but it's yeah, like it's along the way that we built the game, these elements will sometimes become more obvious. Um, But yeah, we're glad. We're quite happy and excited about this update because it's in my head, it's like not so to make it too big, but it's like the start of a new year, and we start with a pretty sizable update that will bring new content to the player, and slowly but surely there will be more content just like this, but also more fun for the players. Um, and yeah, that it's just nice to start out that way, like and to be confident in what we've delivered here.
Look at your baby at work right here. I love this so much because one of the biggest features for me about this is I'll give you an example. I'm using lightwood beams because I want to utilize that more, but I don't want to snap it. Actually, even better, lightwood fences. So lightwood fences will snap like this, but sometimes I want all of the postings of this to hit directly on the foundation. So now I can hold down shift so I can move it however I want to. And let's say I want the lightwood fence to align right here with this ramp, the edging right there, instead of the edge of this foundation. Now I can use these lines to line it up. The square right there tells me exactly where it's going to be. I see it's perfectly in line with the edge right there. It's going to overcrop on the right-hand side, so I can just move this way a little bit so it doesn't. And now it's exactly where I want it to be, and not enough resources to build it.
And the anticlimax. But it's again, this is another great example of sort of how like how my experience is so different from yours, where like you're using really like as a building tool, where I for myself was mainly like using it because I get lost how it's rotated. And the last little bits are the moments where you sort of like align it like this, which I had as well early in the week here. But for me, it's more like you have, like you rotated a little bit already, and to immediately give up, I don't always find necessary. So like you just start over, but it just makes your life a little bit easier to, yeah, to do it this way. I also saw in the chat there, that was a cool idea. Would it be cool if the workbench, whatever you can interact with in your house, had a little gibbling as well? That's something exactly that I was hinting at that we're trying to do, to showcase a little bit more that a bench is in use if you build a whole lot of stuff. And there's, like we can do anything we want, but to make it more interesting and yeah, grounded is always the word that I think comes to mind first. Like it is part of the world, and it is really cool if there's these little guys just working around and walking around and helping you. And how do you do that the best while maintaining sort of dynamic stuff in your town?
Yes.
Little animations when they are working on your bench.
See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I mean, like, that's cool. I do want Jiplings hanging around my benches when it's in motion. I'm sorry, my brain just, I have something with me. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what it is yet. But I just thought about when you're discussing the bench and work, it'd be so cool. Like Baron said, if a little Jibling just kind of crawled up the table and had on a hard hat and like a little sign that said currently in use, and then went away after that. I don't know, random, ignore it. But this right here is something that was not there last time, and I love it, which is when I want to move this and I hold F, it highlights the item that I want to move. There's no more guessing of, am I moving the right thing? The outline tells me this is what you want to move. No backsies. Love it, David.
That's great. I can have a look if I can find something.
Love that so much. Big QOL.
And it's also like this is the funny thing is like this is more my perspective, where it's more the art side of things and the visuals.
Yes.
Where that sort of aligns with game design, obviously, like it aligns with all the other things. But same for the Jiblings. Like nobody else needs to have these things on the table per se to work or something. But it makes the experience all a lot more interesting. Although an engineer came up with the idea.
Hey, we'll
credit
take
where credit is due. Before I start saying,
I. Congrats to me.
Yeah, like, calm down.
I like that. I should calm down.
Let me
I'm happy
quickly.
we can finally reveal what this is. By the way, I love all the art for these so much. It is so fun to see these graphics and icons change over time to reflect what they actually are now. But ye old workbench, another quality of life that people asked for personally and said, why isn't there a this and this and this and this? And now there is a this and this and this. We teased it last week, but we didn't reveal what it was. But a couple of you guessed correctly about what the workbench is. And you followed your heart, and congratulations. So once I actually have this built, we can have David talk about his favorite aspects of the workbench and what he likes about it and how it came to
Let me
be.
quickly. I'll send you something here.
Gonna send me something. I'm excited about that.
Hopefully the video.
I can build 2
works.
workbenches, but I won't. But last week, all of you were kind of wondering, what is that? I wonder what's gonna be. Ta-da! I built it. Oh, it
Yep,
looks so
and this is
good.
the. Yeah, that's always good to hear. Now this is a workbench as well that now, which is also this. This is one of those things that is quite directly player feedback. It takes out or uses the inventory and storage crates in your town. So if you just craft from your hands, you only have your inventory, but here it automatically grabs stuff from somewhere else. And yeah, it's the perfect example of how community feedback comes back into the game.
No, 100%. That was one of the things that I think a lot of us kind of wanted for a long time. I say me as a player as well because we are players and this is the player experience. Is I have all these workbenches for everything except for like everything else. Like, what about the stuff I just build on hand on personnel? Why aren't you drawing from my benches? And now that's a thing we can do. And again, I just like the way it looks because the details, if you can see the labor that has already taken place on here, you can see the little blueprints right there. It'd be kind of funny if in the future we found a way to have those blueprints changed based on an upcoming patch, and each one offered like a little teaser as to what the next patch would be.
Well, I think that's the fun stuff to sort of fantasize about for the future, and it's something so far that we haven't done really. Like even in the updates artwork, for example, where we could put, like whatever, a purple chicken in the back to, like this is a new little creature, and it's like all the way far ahead.
My
Yeah, that's
favorite.
one of my big, like the first pieces of art I did for Sea of Thieves, where I accidentally revealed the purple chicken, and I'm like, okay, so my bad. Didn't know it was legendary or whatever.
Whoops.
But but it's the stuff that like I do think is important for later on, and the fun that you can have with, especially for example these little teases, and if that's through out of the game, like real world artwork, um, or if it's in the game, like maybe we make all of a sudden we rotate all the whatever paintings that you would be able to place in your house. I'm just saying something, right?
Yes.
Maybe one day they're all crooked, you can't change them back. Why? Okay, something's going on. There have been tremors. You hear, the world, you feel the world shake a little bit every once in a while, and that's a lot of the fun stuff that is definitely not something that we're working on now, so it's not a hint or anything. But it's something that I'd like to think is that we will be using later on, when we're getting closer to full release or even in between.
Can I switch from hammer to sword when I hide the character? I can try. There you go. But it brings me back from hiding. And I think part of that's because when you're building, you're looking to build. So that's why you hide yourself so you can see what you're building.
You would be a good QA tester. Wait, who said that there?
Karai Seraph.
Uh, yeah.
Ah, tricky. Trying to play a little, trying to play a rogue class ahead of time. Good instincts.
What? Yeah. What will break? Here we go.
Can you try to do that just in case? You're trying to put me through the ropes of, hey, hey, Dev, can you see if I can use this in my advantage, maybe? Because, hey, if it works live, then it's not patched out yet, right? By the way, cool thing, if you see down there, my steel door frame that I currently have pinned, I have none of the materials, supposedly. But truly, I do because of the crafting bench down below, the workbench and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Can you see? Can other players see you if you run with the hammer and hide? Oh, you mean like in this stage?
I don't think so.
Oh, you know what? If they can't, you could create your own version of hide and seek in your towns.
Yeah, actually.
Oh, they can? Ah, never mind. Sorry. Fun canceled. My bad.
Well, maybe we bring it back as a feature.
Yes.
Again, though, like this is, like this is where something that we've started to do as well more because we have an internal ideas channel where everybody can chip in. Like this is what I think is cool. That's what I, like I was inspired by whatever a donkey that I saw at the what's the word for it?
You saw it.
The petting zoo or whatever.
Yeah.
And like it's a cool creature, so on. But we have an ideas channel, and now we're trying to do a lot more sort of brainstorm sessions because it's more direct, and we can actually pick the features from these sessions better than doing it from just a Slack channel that we have. But yeah, there's also pieces of what the community said and so on. They're taken into consideration there. But now.
David, I love it so much. I love, like, you have no idea how much I love this. It just, like, great swords should feel heavy and cool, and this just feels heavy and cool. Like, look at this. Like, absolutely dunking on someone.
I think, yeah, like, I think this is one of those things where it started out cool and nice when we started doing the bandit stuff, and I was like, oh, yeah, why are they cooler than I am? And yes, because we at that point couldn't really reveal the idea of what we're trying to do. Yeah, here we are. So I'm glad that people can now start fighting things.
And want to fight
also
things.
Funny is that you notice that everybody plays different. So you have whole long discussions. I feel like it's great. I think it's not responsive enough. And then like all of a sudden I'm playing with lock on and my colleague isn't. And we didn't specify. And we've been talking for 15 minutes. Well, I think this is how it is. It's like, oh, we're two different play styles.
Look how cool I look running with my greatsword down like that. Now this is a work in progress soon, I think, too. The day when we decide to figure out if we want to have swimming or simply waiting or simply does the water affect you in any way.
Yeah. And I think Liquid Meadows obviously brings a lot of those answers or we have to answer these questions.
Yes.
And it's really tried to prioritize what do we think, and we have our roadmap or our ideas lined up for where we want to be in a couple months, and we try to sort of reorganize that, not on the fly, but what's most appropriate or what serves the purpose of the players the best, and what people are asking for. But yeah, water and swimming is one of those. Where
oh my God, this new town expansion. I'm sorry, David. Like this new town expansion is so good.
It's one of those things that as well is like one of the things is design. You design it, you play it, it works, it's fine, it's nice, and then you feel like you kind of want to have more. And we're lucky that it's not too much, and we can give people this.
There's the example right there too. You can see the line right there that's connecting to my town center. Both are gold illuminated. I back away. I'm too far out. Now it's red. Town center is not illuminated. The threading is red. Simply put it back in range right there, and it tells you how close I am to everything else. That's so good. Well done. Are you satisfied with the way it looks visually? For now?
I'm generally quite happy, yeah. But that's the question you shouldn't ask me, because the answer is deep down is no.
No,
I'm never satisfied. The thing is, and I was like, you asked me like, well, what's your favorite thing, and like beforehand, and like think of, and I'm like, I see what I want to change, because today already, like we were waiting and talking and like fixing bugs, and I'm listening to what the people are talking about, and I am busy with the next UI thing that I think could be better, should be, and yeah, it's so like, am I satisfied? Yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. That's always the answer.
It'll work for
And the
now.
main thing is, like, in the end, I'm happy when players are happy. Like, if it served the purpose of what we tried to achieve. If there was a problem, the problem was you couldn't really see where everything was. If that problem is solved, I think then, that's a moment where you're happy.
That could be a good question, I guess, from a 3D art and animation perspective from Bear and Butter. Do you find yourself getting inspired by Enshrouded, Pal World, or don't look too much into it and focus on your own path?
I haven't played Power World. I have played a little bit of Enshrouded. Um, and yeah, well, the answer I think obviously is yes. It's you shouldn't look at things that blindly copying things is dumb,
Yes, agreed.
because you will try to follow things that, like, you're putting things in without the intent, and we have different problems that other games have, and they're similar. Like, for example, the pinning a recipe and so on is a very similar thing, a very common thing, but we run into it in different moments than other people are, and we do what we believe is the right moment for us, and that's where our things come from. But if we just randomly start copying things, I think that's always bad. But I'm inspired all the time. Like, I quite randomly got the idea to buy a PlayStation 2. uh,
Congratulations.
so very happy about it. But like you, I'm very impressed and inspired by old games now.
Hmm.
And more like, how did they tackle specific things back then, and so on. And it's not about stealing, it's about um yeah like, what works and what would be cool. And it's especially now we're in a very creative moment for the Liquid Meadows, of which I hope that soon we'll be able to show more. It's starting to shape up quite nicely. There's a lot of cool 3D art being done. um, and Yeah, like that's the moment to be inspired. So, and it's about swimming. Like, I look at water all the time now.
Just in
I'm
general or
like, my
for
glass
the
here.
game?
No, no, but like at home, like, like, what does it look like? I live in
What
Ireland.
is
It rains
water?
a ton. How does what is like? No, but it's that's the inspiration part.
Oh no!
There you go. Oh, very fine.
Okay, we lived. We're gonna go to the liquid metal stuff in one moment, but are there any other visual changes that you personally are happy with the team putting into the game
Um,
for this patch? Things that
well,
really
I
stand
think
out?
I think the art that was done by, in this particular case, Dylan, she worked on the Jibbling maintenance service. I think that's really solid. Um, I think the UI updates are nice for the rotation mode and the scale mode, and that really helps. Um, is there the thing is, I always this is the moment to forget and insult somebody deeply who worked months on something, and
I wish you thought
but
about
no,
me.
that's exactly. No, but the real thing is, to get back to what I said initially, what's my favorite thing is the combat. I think there's a whole lot of, or I know there's a whole lot of animation work that went in there. So it's not so much a 3D asset, but it's an animation piece. And I think Manny, our senior animator, really worked closely with Gavin, who did the combat. I think they, from scratch, built a really solid system. And again, now it's the moment to fantasize about the next attacks, and should we do a triple flip and a quadruple flip, or does it
Ooh,
not fit our game? And it's fun to be in the position to think about that.
yeah. I think that's definitely something good to look at in terms of the combat, and as we have an increase in creature types, variations, more elites,
Yeah.
that's going to open up the ideas of is the current combat system enough, or does it change based on the new wealth of animations that other creatures have too?
Yeah. And the what type of creatures? Because we obviously have a specific type of creature in Ambrose, and what is like Liquid Meta is going to bring, and
Yes.
how big, small, but mainly like I obviously that will be the next step for us to like look at the combat there. Uh, what creatures? What does that do? What is a new system like? Um, because we have to approach, yeah, the new system from uh, or the new creature making creation from that angle as well. Like what fits with our new style here.
Speaking of new style, by the way, hello. Nice try. Titles. Hello, titles. Don't worry, I'm used to reading names. With this new edition now, where there's a rotation mode, press tab. By the way, if you didn't know already, press tab to change between rotation and scaling mode. With this new edition now, where we can change the scaling from a vertical standpoint down to a lower standpoint, or being able to scale it narrow, did this change the way that you viewed the game from an artistic standpoint? How things look when they're narrowed or lowered down?
Well, that's I'm always with that sort of stuff. Whereas, like, how far, and that's also why we put limits on there. How far can you go before you break the game? Like, what looks silly? Because I think being goofy and being sort of out there and quirky is fun, um, but as long as it not sort of becomes a joke, like sort of a joke of itself,
Yes.
because they're not that you have to be serious all the time, but it has to be a type of, like, I think cool is the wrong word, but visually pleasing in this particular case. Um, but for me, like first when people started to talk about scaling, I was like, oh no, oh no, yeah, like how does everything respond? Because that was not initially how these elements were built. But we put limits on there to not make it too crazy, and uh, also, for example, that's the reason why you can't scale up, because otherwise you could make a wall twice as big and pay the same amount of resources, and that wouldn't really work. Or at least that's how we decided to do it, because of course you could also scale up the resources used. Um, but this is
Oh,
the
that's
direction
important
we
that you actually
chose.
explain the decision of why you chose not to go that way.
Yeah, no, but it's one of those things. Like, it's just always there's like, and there's conversation and conversation, and how do we do this and why, and this is the thing that we chose.
So no half tall walls or half wide walls.
No, I think it's 70%. So look, don't like, details are always a bit lame, but
Yeah, right there you can kind of see an idea of what it looks like to have it side by
and
side.
that's also the reason why we didn't let every. I'm not top of my head. I don't really know which things are able to be scaled, but I think a door, for example, can be scaled because it would break town attacks. And there's like, that's just stuff that we need to be careful of. So that's why like, some things can be done and some things can't. And for the sake of like leaking stuff, it's also like made us think of what can different pieces bring, because we have a clear set now. um, and at least, like, definitely I can't say anything there, but more because I just don't know.
Good catch. Oh,
Like, we have it's more like I can promise, like, like the crazy shape, but that's like, I just don't know. Like, it would be an empty promise. But we're listening to, again, to what people say, and um, to be able to make different shapes. So potentially to do like a triangular type foundation or something is something that's requested, and initially we had, but we didn't think it was successful, and then we took it out, and it does mean that we have to adjust all the newer sets because some of them might not have it, but and from there that on as well, like, who knows where we might end up? Maybe whatever. I'm just really now saying stuff, but it's like round shapes, and should you do that? Why not? And does it work with our snapping system?
no, like it's very bubblegum shrimp of you. There's round shapes. You could do rectangle shapes and sauteed shapes and boiled shapes and.
No, but like because it is quite square-ish
I got
now,
you, Karai.
and I think it's super impressive what people do. Like, that's the one thing that I'm all, like, we talked about that last time.
Oh yeah, people
Um,
are mad creative.
Yeah, and it's like it's fun to have these sort of discussions or think about it, and like that's also we're looking into all these things, and uh,
You know what?
hopefully we'll be able to bring
Speaking of
them
looking
further
into
soon.
things, because Dark just pointed out something amazing that is in the patch notes. Veer King is back. There's a rumor going around that Veer King was not in the game for a bit. I just want to squash that rumor by saying, stop talking about that. But it is in the patch notes. Yes, Veer King, the elite Fade Veer, is back. David, when you're looking at the design animation for the elites we have in the game right now, the War Torn Tariva and the Veer King, what are your thoughts on more elites and ones that even kind of supersede the sizes of their contemporaries, like the big
Yeah,
ones?
it's quite simple. They need to serve a purpose, and at the time that we introduced them, they were there to vary the combat a little bit more, because we would like them to be more, like yeah, like it was a decision to make combat more interesting, to different behavior a little bit, and something more powerful that you can run into.
Yes.
And we really had a good sort of like with the bandits is sort of an example of an enemy type, where we really designed differently. Like we made a specific design to accommodate for that. Um, and I think that's also sort of the direction we'd like to go into, where there's like their eyes a bit more clever, and like it's like they try to group up on you. Um, and I think currently, elites uh, are not the most or the first thing that we will do, because I think it's better to focus on liquid metal creatures and actually making something different than giving another variation of something that's already there. And I'm saying that now, and maybe, ooh,
Spicy take.
that's an interesting.
Veer King was just in Lithical Plains during the breeding season. Is that lore we have to worry about for later on?
I
Not a great
no,
answer. That's not really my
I
department.
refrain from commenting.
it's not my department to worry about. So good stuff. Well,
Yeah, but I could you see if you could check out the video? That's for
yes, absolutely.
the little gym. I think that's and
Let's
then
show some stuff off.
maybe we move on to the liquid meadows.
Let's do this. Pop this here. You sent
But
it
yeah,
there.
to round that off, I think the uh, ooh, there you go. This is one of the animations that somebody pretty much requested in this chat, to make it like more obvious, or make it obvious that the crafting station is in use,
It's
and this
so
particular
good.
case the cooking station.
It's such a good animation.
It's really nice, and it's one of the things that like the main thing is trying to capture what is a gibling. uh, give that a good go. Like, tomorrow morning you wake up, like you're making your breakfast, if you're cereal or a little sandwich, whatever you do, and try to think about that, because that's what we do a lot.
You know what?
Is it funny? Too funny?
We do have some news though. Yesterday we made a blog post where we gave an introduction on the hedonist. And this is one of the things that I brought up is that I feel like if I'm logging into the game and I'm looking into this face every day, I want to know more about that face. I want to know more about these people, the hedonists. I want to know why that big neck thing is there.
Oh, I think the
And
video is
so,
blocking
oh,
your
it did.
guy.
You're 100% correct. My entire demo was ruined. But I wanted to answer the question of when you log into the game, do you know what a hedonist is? Do you know why the neck piece is so important? And so I made a blog post, which you haven't checked it already, you can, coreborn.gg/blog, that goes into detail about the hedonist and hedonist lifestyle. And I bring that up because in the next 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks or so, there'll be another blog post detailing the giblings as well. That way you have a better understanding of the world around you. What is a hedonist? What is Ambrose? What is this land and why? What is a gibling? Like maybe you say it from an existential standpoint. What is a gibling? But also, why is a gibling? Why is Gamora type beat? So finding out more about them, WIP soon.
Yep.
So you have some liquid metal stuff you can show off as well, right?
Yeah, that's like a little update. Like we have quite a bit of work, and I think we should do that justice by showing it when it's in like a good shape.
Okay.
Uh, uh,
Hold up.
More finished shape. I think that's better because it is in a good shape. Um, yeah, it's just down below. We have more now. Player building system. Like this is a bit of the creation process. All the different colors and shapes and elements that we, like look at Meadows. Where does your mind go? Shells, coral, all that type of stuff. And we're trying to find sort of the coolest versions of this. Um, and
It's
yeah,
so
we're currently
pretty.
working on this one. Yeah, no, it's really well done. And this is where like I really enjoy this process almost is when you ask our concept artists to be creative and to make something like this is what we want. We want it to stand out. The Ambrose has quite worldly, like the one stuff that we know. So go a bit more crazy and see, like this, make it fit the water type landscape. And that's where you look at all the movies all the video games that you know, and just nature, obviously nature, to be inspired.
So how do you work in tandem with the audio team? Because it's one thing to go in Ambrose and run across grass fields, it's pat pat pat, or in stone structures. But now that we're hitting liquid meadows, where they're going to be more moist environments with the mud, running across coral, running across possibly the shell encased walls right there. How do you work with that part of the team to ensure that everything aligns from an expectation of does this sound like liquid meadows?
Well, I think the what we've done and what I'm trying to I wrote not an article about it, but I wrote something um, on social media somewhere about sort of this exact thing is like you and I mentioned a little bit as well earlier, like it's about being able to explain what I'm seeing. And when I say sort of what I'm seeing, like I wake up, like I said, or I go to bed and I'm, like those little moments where you sort of, it happens. Like you have that moment of, oh, this is what it is. And it's, like a sound or my partner lived in New Zealand and she listened to a bunch of like Maori uh, music. And so it's really interesting, modern and traditional, like very, and before I say something too like tribal, I think that's correct. But it's really like very modern, but also really like not stuck, but holding on to traditions, and that makes for not only beautiful music, but Moana is a similar is a kids movie,
Yes.
similar in Pacific Island type style. Beautiful music that like is I know, but we have to communicate that to somebody else, and to Dane in this case, and like references and what do you feel like this should be, and like do we when we say even when I say silly, do you think of the same, like what do you think when I say silly? If I say red, what do you see when it's red? And it's fun to do it, but sometimes
It is
it's also
fun.
difficult because to really make that that come across to each other is just difficult sometimes, but it's a lot of fun to do so.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Yeah, and this is the more final version, but like I already said, I can already promise, and it's silly that I'm realizing this now. All these beautiful colors that we had, and this is a lot more muted. And I'm like, why is this? I'm looking at all the concepts. So this is the final concept art, but it's not the final concept art because I want that pink to be slightly more dark and purple. Not really, but compared to like there's the previous stuff,
Is
it's
it
like
more
it's just
muted, you think,
slightly.
because it's on this backdrop right here? Would it be not as muted when it's surrounded by everything else? You know?
Well, if you look at the previous one, there's the bottom left.
Yeah.
There's yeah that purplish color. Actually, 16 and 19. It should be sort of a combination between the two. The question is, the 16 is a roof, 19 is a ramp or a staircase or a bit in between. Oh, that's actually it is a ramp here, but it will be the style of what a staircase should be. Okay, whatever. We're getting into detail now. Um, but these two colors are nice, strong colors, and we have to just see. They somewhat got lost in the concept art. Uh,
Beautiful.
but it's also now we have to make sure that we make the right choices because we want to make it colorful, and that's what we're showing next. We want to make it colorful. We want to make it bright. We want not a new experience, but a very different
Oh,
experience
look at
of
that.
what Ambrose was. So a lot of bright colors, a lot of like different visuals, a lot of more fantasy. That's what we're trying to bring. Um, and yeah, the what happens if we make something that's super colorful or super colorful buildings in a super colorful environment? Uh, that might be a bit much. So we have to figure out if that's the sort of along the way. If I now say, oh, we're definitely gonna make it stronger colors, but maybe in a couple of weeks when this is a bit more fleshed out in the game, um, that we then say, okay, the muted colors might actually give a little bit of like contrast to all the strong colors.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a good deep dive. And oh man, that's so colorful.
Yeah, and this is a piece of concept art that is based on an older one that we've done, and I assume that that's been shown already. It's not really important anymore because this is the next step of what that was. So this is really an evolution, and it's really nice, and it showcases to me well, like this is what I'm seeing when I talk about Liquid Meadows. Um, and the beach will also be the first area that we're working on, which is why you're seeing this. But we're moving on to different biomes, meadows, and so on. Um, yeah, but it's looking cool, and also the boring side of things that you like, just a bit of tech that's sort of happening is also happening here, where we can adjust colors a bit smoother, so you have a little bit more control, which is just handy day to day for myself and my colleagues. But it's really, I think it's going to be really cool.
I don't think it's boring at all. I think those are the kind of details that people watching want to know about. It may seem like it's boring, but I think people like me, when I even see this game or any other game, the more detail I'm shown about this is why we did this, I care. Because when I watch the final product, I can see it kind of taking place in my mind as to how it got there.
Yeah,
You see no
and
water
that's
magic on the image.
well, we'll be there. And I've debated on showing something, which is
Ooh,
more fantasy-ish in sort of the nature of things. And technically, you can see some of that already in the image, but that's how far I'm gonna go. Uh,
I know exactly what you're referring to, actually.
and
It's there.
yeah, like it's there,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, like it's worth. And that's why I think that's the most important as a last thing about Liquid Meadows almost. We're trying to go for a little bit more out there. Like we're trying to elevate the fun, um, and yeah, and just a bit more not crazy,
It can't
but
just be different colored Ambrose. I think is one of the
yeah,
things, right? It
yeah,
can't just
yeah,
be
yeah,
like, oh, I'm an Ambrose, but it just looks different. That's all.
yeah. No, but that's I think the experience, and it's the same thing for other like with a purpose, and it's not different for the sake of just looking different. The experience should be different, and that's the same for what we're looking into with the character. We're thinking about animation with the weapon. Like we now have that base for the weapon that it's a bit slower.
Yep.
And what would should we do a super fast weapon? What is that? look like? Are we even happy with that or no? Um, yeah, but it's really it's exciting, and it's great that we're in the position that we're working on this. Because I think we're quite happy where we are now, and sort of our short-term updates are, I think, pretty cool, and I think the team is quite proud of it. Um, yeah, and then the Liquid Meadows is a long-term thing that's what the team is working on in the back, but with all these quality of life updates, we'll take them there.
You know what? You've been gracious to be here for an hour and 20 minutes now going on. I'll ask you one last thing to not keep you too long, and that is within reason. By the way, don't box yourself into
Yeah.
a corner. Is there anything that you were working on, or that you and the team were working on for this patch that you like didn't quite make it in, didn't make the cut, scrapped completely, that either you wish could have made it or might make it in the future without spoiling anything? Take that.
Um, so there's some smaller things that didn't make it. Um, but generally we've been pretty good with making the package, and that's also internally and production wise, like making it a solid package, see what can we actually achieve to a quality that we like, and not like, oh, we'll revisit this. Like obviously combat is revisited, or that's something that's ongoing, um, but other things are in a state where we can really be happy about them. uh, but I am gonna be careful with my words. Like
Yeah,
the thing
yeah.
is,
Take your
it's not
time.
teasing, and like I can say whatever I want now. Like this is the moment. Get ready, everybody.
Whoa.
Um, no, I think I'm happy with the approach that we're taking with the updates that are fairly regular. It's something to look out for, and with the towns now updated in the combat, it allows us to look further with those elements.
Just watching your head turn, it allows us to. I can see you looking at a list of words like no, 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 no. Further circles. We can look
Yeah.
further.
No, it's. I think there's yeah, like there's some fun stuff coming, and yeah, it fun I think is the big word.
Perfect. Well, thank you, David, for joining us and sharing some of your insight
No worries.
from the artistic stand up, and we look forward to having you back in the future. Is there anything that you want to plug while you're here?
Uh, well, I have ArtStation and Instagram, that sort of stuff, but I think plugging the game, um, I think that we could make a small promise.
Oh,
Uh, Burari is not here. Maybe is he in the
I don't see
chat?
him typing for a
Well,
while. You
I've
got
seen
time.
him. I've seen him, but he hasn't typed
It's
just
been
now.
5 minutes. You got time.
Is it? Yeah. That next time when I show up, that we show like a bigger chunk of the Liquid Meadows, um, because then we can really do something cool. Yeah, like do a first good part of that.
That's a good promise to make. That's what you got to do. Look forward to then. All of you watching right now, the special guest that you see next time, if it's not David, it's not going to happen. If it is David, you know what's coming that stream.
Yeah, no, but it's yeah, like we have a lot of cool stuff to show, but it would be nice if it's a little bit more well-rounded, as a one package, and that's let's do that next time. I'll show more of that.
Perfect. I like. Oh God, he's back. All right, I'm gonna get you out of here
No,
before he
no,
has time to reply to you. Thank you, David. Everyone, say goodbye to David.
don't have to come into work tomorrow. This was it.
Extra day off.
It was lovely to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks so much, Adrian,
Thank you so much, David. Take care.
and everybody for watching.
There you go. Everyone, say goodbye to David. Wave to him. Bye. Thank you. Hey, so you know what I'm going to ask of you, right? If you made it this far, you already know. I need you to like, please, thank you, comment, and subscribe. Try to respond to the comments. Truly, if you want to subscribe and faster, it's like over here somewhere. And, playlist there. Or there. One of the two.